Today we're driving the 2024 Cadillac CT4-V Blackwing. This is one of my favorite sports sedans. It's a little bit more fun to drive than the M3, M4. Maybe not as quick, but oh boy, it is just a sweetheart. If you've been watching the channel, you'll know we just tested the CT5-V Blackwing a couple weeks ago. This is its baby brother, and it's still a very, very potent package. We have a 3.6 liter twin turbo V6 up front, making 472 horsepower, 445 pound-feet of torque. It's one of the few V6s that sounds pretty gnarly in today's era, and the twin turbos don't suck out all the noise. Let's walk you around this today. We'll talk about what it's been like to live with this week. We are on a set of Michelin Pilot Sport All Season 4 tires, so we have a little bit less grip today, which might be fun. We'll see. This is the end of February here in Michigan, so we've seen some warmer weather, but unfortunately no snow this week in the CT4-V Blackwing like we had in the CT5-V Blackwing a few weeks ago. This car is painted in Velocity Red, and although it might get you a little bit more attention, combined with the lighter interior, this looks awesome. I actually really like the way this color looks on this Blackwing. The rear end of this has always been a little bit beluga whale looking, and I think this red just is about right. It looks proper, especially with the black spoiler, the blacked out exhaust tips. This looks really nice. There's your trunk space. Not a whole lot to work with, but enough. Fold down that so it doesn't get in the way. You got a little pull handle there. Behind the driver's seat, again, as is common in this class, back seats are a bit cramped. Whoa, there we go. I'm 5'10". This is my driving position. I have just enough headroom to kind of get through some bigger bumps. That's about it. And I'm sat pretty high up. Starting price on this is a little under $63,000. This has about $9,000 in options. We'll put all those options in the description. The big one is the interior package. It has these very light gray seats, suede headliner, some carbon fiber bits on the steering wheel and center console here. It looks good, but that's a $4,900 option, and you have to decide whether it's worth bringing up the quality of your GM interior or not for that price. Look at this V6, set pretty far back behind the front axle, good for weight distribution. Got a cool looking intake situation here. This is a neat looking engine bay. Takes 5W30 oil, adaptive dampers, V logo under the hood. This is sharp. This is really nice. All right, so quickly taking a look at this interior, you'll notice we have a lot of physical controls and buttons, which I love. I love the layout of the CT4-V Blackwing. You've got buttons right here on the steering wheel. One press to enable your V mode, which you can set to a bunch of different parameters right here. Super easy. Press it again to disable it. Performance traction management settings are right here on this dial. You've got 3-seat memory settings, auto up-down windows for the front. You can change your gauge brightness right here when it's a little bit darker. You've got a head-up display, which you can adjust the height of, brightness, content. I usually turn those off. Tiny little infotainment screen, but it does serve the purpose, and it's better than having everything just in one big display. So I'm going to give that a win. It's a little bit low contrast. I've mentioned this in just about every GM video in the last 3 years. I just wish their display quality was a little bit higher quality, at least with regards to viewing angle. We have wireless charging right here. That seems to work pretty well this week. And the venerable 6-speed manual transmission here. You can turn on rev matching with this button. You'll notice your gear indicator turns yellow when you do that. That's cool. All right, we'll play around with that a little bit in this video. Traction control and then drive mode selection here down to the right. Sport, track, snow and ice, my mode, tour, and you can set that to change the gauge cluster design depending on drive mode. Here's what the exhaust sounds like in its loud mode. Here's what it sounds like turned down. A lot of burbles, a lot of fun sounds from this exhaust. A little bit of storage here for cups, kind of a felt lined area there. Nice looking seats. The sky cool gray interior with jet black, it really does look sharp. AKG audio right there. We'll do a quick sound system test later on in this video. Okay, I think it's time to go drive the CT4-V Blackwing. However, before we do, quick wrist check. Today I'm wearing the TAG Heuer Carrera Glass Box Chronograph. This is a watch from our newest sponsor on the channel, Lewis Jewelers in Ann Arbor, Michigan. They carry a lot of elite watch brands like Omega, TAG Heuer, Grand Seiko, Breitling, Tudor, some of my favorite watch brands, and we're going to be wearing a few select timepieces from them over the next few months. They've been a great sponsor to work with just because I like to nerd out about some of these watches. My favorite thing about this glass box is just the domed crystal on top. It's a chronograph, so it's got a tachymeter right here, kind of built into the glass behind the domed crystal. It's pretty beautiful design, really stunning looking chronograph. Love the feel of the pushers. You've got a 12-hour timer here on the left, 30-minute timer right here, and then your second hand and date at the bottom. This has a deployment clasp, which is really easy to size and put on your wrist, a display back case, a TAG Heuer movement. It's just a very, very nice timepiece. Go check out Lewis Jewelers if you're interested in purchasing your next luxury timepiece. Talk to DK and be sure to mention TheTopher. He will hook you up and get you guys what you're looking for. Great company to deal with and a very knowledgeable staff as well. All right, with that, let's go drive the CT4-V Blackwing and see how it does on the road. We'll show you guys the reverse camera here real quick too. Just starting off, the CT4 almost feels like it kind of has an anti-stall feature to it. You do have to give it throttle when you're starting off, but it's just the slightest amount. It's actually a really easy and user-friendly manual transmission to drive. Now, we have had some colder mornings here in Southeast Michigan the last few days. That shift from first into second can get a little bit crunchy until you've driven a few miles in this and that gearbox has had time to warm up. So actually what I've been doing is on cold starts, I've either been starting in second, this has the torque to do it, or I've been starting off in first, taking it up to about 2,500 RPM, and then shifting into third, and the gearbox is pretty happy doing that. We'll leave rev matching off at first. I'll get acquainted with my throttle blips. This V6 is so responsive. It loves to rev, and it pulls so hard. It's a lot of fun. Pretty good steering feel too, even on these all-season tires. You gotta love all the exhaust burbles. It can be a little bit much at times, which is why I will often switch into sport engine sound, and that mostly gets rid of them. The suspension in sport mode stiffens up quite a bit. You can adjust that all very easily right here. Tour is nice and comfortable and soft and floaty. For the colder temperatures we have today in our rough Michigan roads, I'll probably leave it in that setting for the majority of our drive. Brake pedal feel, nice and positive. Not as much initial bite as I would like, but it's enough. Let this car get some temperature in it first, and we will enable no lift shift, or we will just do a no lift shift. You don't have to enable anything, you just have to rev the engine out. There's rev matching. Gets it right every time perfectly. It'll even go into first. This 6-speed manual is just a pleasure to drive. It's so fun to row through these gears. Throttle tuning is really nice. Yeah, and you can really bang gears in this thing. Sounds so cool when it cuts timing too. Cruising on the highway, 6th gear, 75 miles an hour or so. Sitting at about 2,400 RPM. This is rated for about 15 miles to the gallon in the city, 23 miles to the gallon on the highway, 18 mpg combined. It's quiet, it's comfortable. Yeah, I mean, it does it all so well. It is hard to beat the CT4-V Blackwing. Front end is sharp, really good turn in here. Let's bump up our engine sound here. Let's go into full track mode and we'll stiffen up our suspension. I like steering in its comfort setting. It's just lighter. Let's talk about control weights, because gosh, this CT4 and the CT5 both get it about right. So important in a modern car to have good control weights. I feel like everything has been overly lightened, overly assisted. Steering has great weight. Shifter feel is just about perfect. Clutch is a little bit heavier in this too. Brake pedal requires some force, and it's all consistent too, which is what we want. Yes, yes, yes. This is the right stuff. Get it while you can. Oh, it is so good. Both this CT4-V Blackwing and the CT5-V Blackwing are probably some of the best daily drivers you can buy that do all the things that we as enthusiasts want out of our cars. One car solution, you got it right here in these two brothers. I mean, it's pretty awesome. The packaging here is a little bit tighter, but as a result, you get a different driving experience. This car feels more manageable, a little bit more nimble, a bit easier to push to its limits on the street because you don't have almost 700 horsepower. Yeah, it's a bit more approachable, which is nice. And okay, the V8 is awesome and it makes a ton of power, but it's not very fuel efficient and it's kind of expensive. And this V6 still sounds awesome. It makes all the right noises. All right, let's play with some more settings here. We're gonna put brake feel into sport, performance traction management into track 1. We've got a bunch of different options: wet, dry, sport, race 1, race 2. I guess we'll just try race 1 and go from there. as you can see, you can absolutely bang gears in this. Power shifting all day long, this 6-speed takes it. Watch out for that skunk. Cut timing just briefly there in first. Yeah, GM Cadillac's PTM, their performance traction management system is really good. Race car stuff in your daily driver. Between that system and the limited slip diff in the back, it just all works so well. And if you want, you can go and turn everything off. But as it is, it's just so fun. Let's do a quick braking test here. A little bit limited there with the all seasons today. Switched off now. This is actually really fun to drive on an all-season tire. You can feel just a bit more rotation and twitchiness at the limit, especially at higher speeds. But I'm always impressed at how much grip these Pilot Sport all-season 4 tires have. It's amazing. All right, let's turn some things back on here. We will enable cruise control. I don't think this is an adaptive cruise control system. GM doesn't do that with their manual transmissions for some reason, unfortunately. But it is a very easy cruise control to operate. Press up, double press for 5-mile-an-hour changes, single press for 1-mile-an-hour changes. Disable it right there, re-enable it right here. It's all just very intuitive and easy to use. There's also your heated steering wheel control right there too. Track selection, volume controls. You can choose different gauge clusters. We have a bunch of different displays here, from display theme to, let's see, we can see what Tour looks like. You've got a tiny little rev counter down here, which I actually completely failed to notice in the CT4-V Blackwing video. Here's what track mode looks like. That gauge cluster, a more linear display. That actually looks pretty cool. Shows you all of your temperatures, your oil pressure, and then you can link it to whatever drive mode that you're in too, which isn't a bad idea. We might do that. Lots of different displays there, navigation, audio, driving assistance, 0 to 60 timing, trip. Oh, you can see your ELSD coupling. That's nice. Honestly, I just like turning everything off and going into this simplified display. Heated steering wheel in this CT4 is just perfect. Just heats your hands the right amount, doesn't burn them off. Same with our heated seats. The only complaint, I have one complaint about this car this week, just one, that's it. Okay, maybe 1.5. I'll get to the half later. But the one complaint is the degassing of plastics, leathers, materials in this is a little bit unpleasant. This interior's got some stank to it. And it goes away when you've been driving it for a little bit. You get some airflow in here if you roll the windows down. And that's really only something you would experience in the first maybe 6 months of ownership until everything is degassed. But this car already has 2,700 miles on it. You start it up in the morning, you hop in, and it's just not the most pleasant odor. So it's very typical with GM Cadillac interiors. It's the same smell. It kind of smells like melted crayons. But that's really my only complaint about the CT4-V Blackwing this far, is it's just a little bit stanky. Not terrible, not a deal breaker, but something to note. My other only complaint is you just feel like you're a little bit high up in this car. Right now I have the seating position set to its lowest height, and it feels pretty good actually, but it's very easy to feel like you're kind of sitting on top of this car instead of in it. And that is one thing that separates some other vehicles in this class to this. Even my Civic Type R feels like you're sat in a more sporty chassis than this CT4-V Blackwing, just because of the seating position, the seats themselves. There is a ton of adjustment here with bolsters and lumbar, and there's even a massage function to these seats, but we won't get into that too much today. All right, Race 1, Performance Traction Management. Ooh, BRZ. That's my favorite noise. Okay, well, I've showed you guys some things today. We've driven this car on the street. We've also done some track driving in a CT4-V Blackwing. That was a good day. This is one of my favorite track cars. I just love this thing. In every scenario, it's fantastic. It is such a great car to live with. It's so much fun to drive. It's luxurious, it's comfortable, it's quiet. Before I bought my Civic Type R, I was considering getting one of these. It's a toss-up. It's a tough one. This CT4 doesn't quite have the back seat space that I need. The Type R does. Can't really put a mountain bike in this thing. So it was a bit of a toss-up. I think ultimately this is more fun to drive, and it's the slightly better street daily driver, whereas the Type R might be a little bit more fun on track in some respects, a little bit sharper, a little bit more direct and engaging and visceral, but it's a really, really good car. Cadillac has just outdone themselves here. This V6 actually sounds good. It has tons of character. Oh, this gate is closed. We're gonna have to keep going. This is a highly recommendable car for the enthusiast who has the budget and the capacity to daily drive something like this. It is just a really nice package. If you don't have kids, or your kids are a little bit older and they'll fit in the back seat, the CT4-V is a pretty good solution. It has actually some advantages. There's some things that I like about this over the CT5. It just feels a little bit more approachable. It's a little bit lighter. In some respects, it's less of a serious big boy super sedan and more playful, a little bit more fun to drive in some respects. So pros and cons here. For the money, you can't go wrong with either option, but man, what a car. It's been really fun to spend time in and experience this week. this turning radius isn't the best, but that's okay. We'll park this in the sun so you guys can enjoy the red one last time, and that will be a wrap. Thanks again for watching. Go check out Lewis Jewelers. Appreciate Cadillac hooking us up with these cars these last few weeks. Hope you guys enjoyed this series of videos. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Cool looking key fob too. The red doesn't quite match, but it's, you know, it's something exciting, something different. I guess before we wrap up, we could do a quick sound system test. Listen to this AKG. Sounds good. This car is just the complete package. That's what it amounts to.